So I'm Greg Luhan. I'm a professor in the College of Design. I'm the Associate Dean for Administration. And I've been working with a lot of you on a variety of projects over the years. But I really wanted to give a shout out to RFLC that was talking about student motivation and engagement. I guess we can go to the next image. So the title of my presentation is Hands-On to Online and Back. Built into most architecture education is a degree of hybridity, whether or not it's working with small-scale models, large-scale models, full-scale design, instructional frameworks that often engage working at concepts, moving through ideas, and then building them at some scale. So the idea of working with hands-on to online, what really became the common ground was the technology. And it, of course, brings me to the first thing. You know, who eats breakfast, right? Everyone, right? So every day I make fried eggs. And I use my skillet, I use a flame, I use cooking spray. And then when I get really excited on weekends, I make scrambled eggs, right? And I add a bowl, I add a spoon, I add a whisk, so I get the eggs to be right. So those tools are the same types of tools that we use in design education all the time. We draw, we model, we build, we write, and we speak. And we can break those down into two categories, design and communication. Ultimately, the design is going to be the final product or the model that we make, but how we communicate and how we communicate effectively really is important for us as designers, because often we're not talking to ourselves or to the faculty members, we're actually talking to communities and stakeholders. So I tested out 3 different concepts of this hybridity. Concept in 60, which really is about problem seeking, identifying gaps in knowledge, identifying a targeted audience, and then developing a narrative that can be communicated to the stakeholders, and then ultimately to propose solutions. And that worked out really well in a variety of ways. But what was missing is this idea of going digital to digital. How can we convey that information in a way that our stakeholders would understand? We know that we're going to be using coding, we're going to be using different types of scaled outputs, and then ultimately we're going to present that in a way that the stakeholders understand, and we use that through digital publishing. So a lot of what we're trying to do is to take the models and the ideas that we're creating in studio and bring them out and get them beyond the student very quickly. So I just wanted to introduce one concept that we work with Trey on, just to give us some insights, the concept in 60. And this is one video. It took a week to produce, and here's the video. So one thing I wanted you to take out of that video is that performing arts education is the living and learning environment that we're trying to create for this particular studio. So it takes not only the information from the video and conveys it in an impassioned way, but then we made models out of it, and then from those models, we're translating those to books. So I brought a sample book that we've been producing from each of the studios. And the idea is that depending upon the concepts and the bridges to the information that we're trying to make, it gives us inroads to deepening the learning experience. So some of the lessons that we learned is that it's very important for us to do a research-driven studio that looks for new ways to find problems. So problem seeking is really important. We use the digital to digital processes where we're sending files to machines to form find, and then from those environments we're also presenting them in concept videos that are changing the way that our static environments are actually being presented. So no longer are we looking at static flat panels on a wall, but we're really looking at emotional videos. We're looking at digital printing, so the concepts that we're presenting are less about making the model, but working with a wider range of collaborators to discuss the scales of the models that we need to make, and then using CNC millings to change the scale to a larger scale. And I called it in progress because this is definitely a work in progress, where I'm trying to distance myself from the classroom, because a lot of the intersections that we have are sitting in desk crits with students in one-on-one experiences. So what would that studio be like if we actually distanced ourselves and got us out of that framework and changed the way that we taught? So.